Maybe the greatest advantage of travelling by sailboat is encountering some of the nicest people in some of the least likely places. In this episode we visit Bima on the island of Sumbawa, a place we were advised not to visit by our friend who warned Sumbawa is lawless and helpless, and the Indonesia Cruising guide which says Bima is the largest city in Sumbawa, the port is muddy and the city not much better. We noted these warnings but carried on anyway, and were rewarded by meeting local man Johnny and his wife Nani, who happily introduced us to their community. In return for their generosity, we added Johnny's contact details to the marine navigation app Navionics, so that future cruisers may contact him should they turn up in Bima. Now, every time a new sailor gets in contact with Johnny, he messages us with a little video clip of his new cruising friends.
Well, it was another one of those head down, work on the computer anchorages, and also we've seen out some pretty grim weather actually because of this system that's going up, so we've seen out some quite heavy winds. In terms of holding this anchorage has been great. As you can see, it's this sort of secluded little bay, and I think this is actually a local ferry terminal with the little boats here. The only thing that spoils it is the amount of crap in the water. And I know I go on about this, but I think this is possibly the most disgusting anchorage we have ever anchored in. Over my left shoulder there, you can see this little isthmus. Keep seeing goats walking past. And no wonder there's goats there, because that isthmus is just covered in rubbish. You cannot see the sand or the rocks or whatever it is for all the rubbish. And we're floating through a whole load of the stuff now. My concern, of course, is getting stuff wrapped around the prop and also the raw water intake on the engine as well. I just hope that we can get back out and down to the town, which is what we're doing this morning, by the way. We're just going to nip in and provision. These guys claim to be security. They came over. One actually told us where to anchor, or at least confirmed that where we were going to anchor was a good place. I just asked them to get out of the way though, because I want to back the boat up to dig the anchor in. I don't know what they want. Well, it turns out those guys claim to be security for the area. I don't know if they are or not, but they did offer to take our rubbish and also to get us some fuel as well. I've just done the fuel and we actually only need 80 litres, which is great. Anyway, we've been looking at the charts and it is quite difficult to get the dinghy ashore, so I thought, well, why not just call them up, get them to pick us up and do some shopping, and they can get the diesel for us. So this is what we're doing, and here they are. Hello. This is Bram.
Yep.
Say hello, Bram.
Hello.
Say hello to YouTube. Well, very busy port, and as you saw, lots of pinisis still being used after all these years for trade, obviously with an engine rather than sailing these days, but it's great to see them in use still. Hello. Okay, taxi Indonesian style. So we've met Johnny, he's the guy that speaks English, and what is your nama?
Not speaking English.
Your nama.
Mr. Man.
Mr. Man. Yeah. Apparently I'm with Mr. Man. I'm on Mr. Man's scooter. We're going to go to Johnny's house to drop off the jerry cans and then walk to the supermarket. And there's also a traditional market as well. But this is back in the land of Indonesia. There's no tourism here. This is all local style. And this is, you know, this is what we love. It's just exciting, isn't it? Meeting new people, going to new places, no tourism, Mr. Man wondering what the hell I'm doing, talking to myself, holding up a camera. We are at Mr. Johnny's house. Terima kasih, Mr. Man. Thank you.
Halo. Halo. Kabar. Ada depan.
So we're just wandering around with Johnny. We were about to go to the bank and the supermarket, and then he pointed out the old King's house, which is just over here, which is exactly 100 years old. 1927 this was built. They no longer have a king though, so it is now a museum. And we thought, well, since we're here, let's go and have a quick look and see what it's all about.
This was built by the Dutch in 1927, so it's 4 years shy of 100 years old.
Okay.
Is that right? This lady knows.
Like name? My name is Nurhani.
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 Beautiful.
It's the guide to Museum Asi Mbojo,
Okay.
the Sultan Palace of Bima people.
The Museum Asi Mbojo, formerly the Sultan's Palace, is just about the only show in town. It wouldn't win any awards from UNESCO and the British Museum won't feel threatened, but it's the perfect example of an unexpected and charming Indonesian diversion. A ramshackle collection of dust-covered knickknacks from axes and rifles to intricate national costumes have been thrown together in unlit display cases. Early 20th century photographs of previous inhabitants line the bedroom walls, giving the visitor a taste of what it must have been like to live here. However, the main attraction is the gorgeous wooden building, with its high-ceilinged rooms, wide hallways and breezy verandas.
This is my second visit to the town of Bima, which is the capital town of the Indonesian island of Sumbawa. If you're not sure where that is, it's basically in between Lombok and Komodo, which you've probably heard of. We hooked up with a local guy called Johnny, who speaks some English. Now, he's a carpenter by trade, but he has unofficially been assigned the role of guide to any visiting tourists. Bima is not a tourist town, it is a working town. Johnny brought us back to his house, which happens to be on this particular street I'm walking down. And when we came here the other day, I said to Liz, I've got to come back and photograph this street because it is absolutely fascinating. Even by Indonesian standards, this is possibly one of the most colourful streets I have ever seen. So I came back this morning and I thought I would assign myself a one-day project, all photographs taken just in this street alone. I think I've explained in other videos how difficult it is to do street photography in Indonesia. And the main reason for that is that if you're a tourist, they see you coming a mile off. As soon as you hold up the camera, they start doing the peace signs that basically the Indonesians love having their photo taken. This can be a problem on the one hand because as soon as they spot you, insistent on having their photo taken. But it does also work to my advantage because my style of photography is quite unorthodox, my street style, because I never really ask for permission when I take photos because I like to get the natural shot. The response is almost always, 99.9% of the time, positive. And so my approach to photography here is to be playful. So get the natural shot first and then perhaps afterwards, if they want their photo taken, get this shot as well and show them on the camera, and it just shows willing. This project I'm about to show you is literally all the photos I've taken in the last hour or so this morning on this one street and one street only. It's been about 5 or 6 hours now of walking around in circles and hopefully getting some great shots. And I think it's time to call it a day now. It's after lunch, everyone's a bit tired, myself included, so probably time to head back to the boat. But just before I go, I just wanted to introduce you to my new set of guides of Bima. Here they are. Well, so ends our trip into Bima, courtesy of Johnny, who's been absolutely brilliant, taking us around, organising the fuel. He took us to his house first, then we went off shopping, and a little interlude in the museum, which is the old Sultan's house, which was unexpected, but it was really just a nice little eye-opener into the history here. Because the problem is that Bima has a bit of a, how can you say it, not a great reputation among the cruising community. I think simply because of the state of the water. When you come in, that anchorage that we stayed at first was pretty grotty. That said, the anchorage was very protected, it was good holding, and same here, you know, it's a working shipyard. You see we're surrounded by all these phinisis here, which are loading and unloading, full of goods for people buying stuff for their houses, ready for the end of Ramadan celebrations. And once you get beyond this run-down boatyard, you basically just end up in another Indonesian town. So if that's your thing, and it is our thing, we like going into these kinds of places, then it's no different to anywhere else. So I would say, if you happen to be in the area and you've read bad things about the town, ignore that. Just come in, get in touch with Johnny and get him to take you around. In the meantime, here are some working phinisis. You see how they ram them into the corners here? It looks like our taxi has arrived. They've just been doing another run, taking some water to another boat apparently. So we've just been hanging out here, checking out the phinisis. And do you know what? It's actually every afternoon it's been absolutely slashing with rain and cloudy and windy. We've been lucky today. It's now, 3 in the afternoon? And it still hasn't quite rained yet. So it was good timing. I'm glad we went out today.
Mantap.